Hello. I'm live again, I think. Yep. Hi, everybody. Hope you're all safe and well. Um, I don't know what day of the quarantine it is, or if it's been different for everybody else, but I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to look for even deeper ways to be of service to kind of push through, I don't know, the discomfort that I'm feeling. Um, I try my best on social media to talk and stay positive, but it doesn't mean that I don't feel anxiety or get down on myself or worry that I'm not doing enough or doing the right thing. So, um, one way that I reminded myself today was thinking about this conversation I'm about to have. I'm going to bring in an incredible woman named Shirley who started an organization called Beauty to the Streets. And I just had an incredible conversation with her, and I'm excited to further that conversation, share it with her. As always, I'll be looking at the comments. I'm also going to be actively listening to her, so I'm sorry if I don't see it. Feel free to keep typing it, but I'm trying to do two things at once, be present in a conversation and also listen to all of you. Okay, so let's see. I think I know how to do this. Go live with, I can search for someone. Let's see. There we go. It's always exciting. It says waiting, connecting.
Yay! Brie, how are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
How are
Oh
you?
my gosh. You look beautiful. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing well, girl. Busy, busy, busy.
Good. I want you to know that I did brush my teeth for this conversation and then realized that that was kind of ridiculous because we're not in the same space. But I'm
Yeah,
going through the normal procedures of acting like, we're in real physical company.
I did too. I sprayed on Bath and Body Works, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's over the phone. So I smell good. I smell good.
Exactly. I'm imagining it. So thank you so much. And first of all, how are you? How are you in all of this?
Thank you for having me. Anxiety is up. I was just listening to what you said. I mean, I feel like every day my anxiety goes up a little more, especially with a lot of the moves we're making and a lot of the things we're trying to get to happen for our community. So I'm not gonna lie, my anxiety is up. I want this whole thing over with. I'm sure like everybody else. But just trying to find some kind of stability for myself and peace while we're going through this transition.
Yeah, yeah. So can you tell everybody who's listening about your organization and a little bit about how you got involved in this?
Yeah, hey y'all. By the way, hey everyone. My name is Shirley. I'm founder of Beauty to the Streets. And Beauty to the Streets is a nonprofit organization that goes out there and it kind of does exactly what the name says. We take beauty to the streets, whatever that looks like. So it's hair, it's makeup, it's food, it's clothing, it's hygiene, it's music on the corner. It's like an outdoor mall. They can come get eyelashes put on, their hair washed, colored cut. We have barbers that come out and service and groom the men. We have kids getting haircuts for school. Some of the women that work, that live on the streets, we take care of them as well. So that's what Beauty to the Streets is. And it started about 3 years ago when I went to feed the homeless with another organization, Polly's Project. And the homeless women were more interested in my face piercings and my earrings and my makeup and my bright hair color. And I'm like, oh, I can get you that, queen, because I have that at home. You know what I mean? And so it just really opened my eyes to what the homeless not only needed, but wanted as well.
Did you have a background in hair and makeup, or was it just something that you loved?
No, girl, I'm a hood stylist. You know what that is? A hood stylist. That's
No,
when
tell me.
you work in the hood without a license. So that's a hood stylist. You just do it for your friends. You do it for your family. You do it for anybody that comes over and stuff like that. But I was a medical biller because I started having kids really young, like straight out of high school, 6 kids. So I was a medical biller by trade. I loved hair and makeup, but unfortunately needing to have that insurance for the kids and health insurance, I needed a stable job, to take care of the kids and stuff. So I'm a medical biller by trade.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
So with that said, so you're doing this work for the homeless, and then,
Yeah.
we're bringing it to present day, and this pandemic has happened. How has that shifted the work that you're doing?
Gosh, you know what? Number one, it got really scary for everyone. You know, I mean, I know everyone sees us out there and sees my team out there. I have an amazing team, you know, Fighters for the World, Rick, Sydney, just all of them, Dawn and Coda, amazing team who, when this pandemic first hit, we tried to follow the instructions. We tried to, you know, do the stay-at-home order and do what we were told to do. But when we realized our community wasn't getting the care and service that they needed, we were like, oh my gosh, like, what should we do? Like, we've been taking care of them for 3 years. Like, you just don't abandon a relationship like that. You know, our first time out there, however, we were more aware of, oh my God, they lacked the information. Like, we have the information. They didn't know what was going on. They were like, oh, we heard it's a bad flu out there, or we heard it's a bad cold. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is at all. And we realized not only do we need to give them things to help them, to feed them, to help them, you know, find comfort in this situation and health, but also education as well. So we find ourselves being a source of information and education out there more than anything. And we're not trained for this. I wasn't prepared for this. I thought that they knew what was going on. But when you stop and think about it, it's like, okay, they don't have access to TVs like we do. You know, some of them that do have cell phones, a lot of the shelters and missions and charging places where you can go charge your cell phone during the day closed down due to social distancing. So now they don't have an ability to charge their cell phone. So they don't get the news that we get. They don't get the updates from the CDC. I'm like, oh, that's right. They don't even know what's going on. So they were just like blind walking. They didn't know what was going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So from our conversation, it sounds like now the shift is not, so you're not doing the normal like hair washing, eyelash extensions. That's not what's going on right now. Now it's kind of just like getting into like the basics of like, do you have what you need to be able to weather this storm?
Yeah, because I think when it came to isolating ourselves and the stay-at-home order, a lot of us who were going out to feed the homeless, when we stayed at home, no one was taking them food. So the churches that would come out and help, the nonprofits that would come out and help, I don't think we stopped to think what stay at home means for those people who don't have a home to stay in and depend upon our kindness every single day to eat, to be warm, to be clean. And when we realize that our staying at home puts our family and our community at a greater risk, because let's be honest, I mean, COVID-19 is a concern, but if you follow me, the biggest concern for them is dying of hunger while COVID-19 is going on because everyone stopped feeding them. The biggest concern is, you know, LA, we had that rainstorm at the beginning of the COVID outbreak. So the biggest concern for them was catching pneumonia due to not having warm clothing due to, you know, the COVID outbreak. So we definitely have to shift the way we do things. We don't do hair and makeup anymore because of the social distancing. We don't sit up on the corner. We don't give the physical interaction and the hugs that we used to. It's really kind of a detached way we're doing it now, which I'm not happy about at all, because part of going down there with my community was giving them hugs, was letting them know that they're loved and cared for. And now it's kind of like we have to keep them at 6 feet distance and they want to go in for a hug. And I'm like, 6 to 10, I can't, not today. You know, they're like, when? I'm like, hopefully soon, boo. You know, but we try to give them as much love as we can through the car window, inside of the bag, which has hand sanitizers, face masks, you know, food. I used to cook myself, but I'm not cooking anymore because of, one, we couldn't get the groceries at the store when COVID-19 first broke out. Now that we can get some type of groceries, it's like, how do you cook a hot meal and bring it and stay 6 to 10 feet away from them? Like the distance, it's so concerning, and we can't figure that piece out. So we're still giving, you know, McDonald's hamburgers until we can figure out how we can bring our pots and pans back down there and serve them a plate and place it in their hand. So we really had to shift the way we do things a lot. But we're focusing on things that are going to help them, just like things that we need to help us survive this COVID-19 outbreak. That's the most important thing.
How many people, do you know the numbers of how many people are living on the streets right now in Los Angeles? Do you know roughly what
LA County is 60,000, probably a little more if they did the census and really got deep in those numbers, but 60,000 in LA County. Don't quote me. I want to say about 8,000 of those 60 are in that Skid Row area that we take care of. But there's 60,000. Probably the numbers are probably way more inflated if they were to do the census on every single person out there. 60,000.
I mean, that is just, that is a lot of people. And from my understanding, that number is growing. I mean, it's growing before the pandemic, and then this pandemic has forced a lot of people onto the streets, and may force many more.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see those numbers of the way the pandemic is going to affect the people who were housed until, I would say, 2021. You know, you got to think about a couple months for them to fall behind on rent, the eviction process, them trying to sleep on a friend's couch, them trying to sleep in their car, them trying to make a way. I really don't think we're going to see the magnitude of what COVID-19 and the lack of working right now and income for people does. I think the numbers in next year will really go up significantly because of what's going on right now. And I think this is a time for people to also understand that the same crisis that might push you to the streets and be homeless, another crisis hit that other person that you see standing on the corner asking for $1. They're not a drug addict. They're not an alcoholic. They hit a crisis of their own. It wasn't COVID-19, but something happened to where they lost their job. They lost their housing, and now we're on the streets. So I think a lot of housed people, unfortunately, will now be able to relate with a lot of unhoused people and go, oh, wow, now I see how they got out here. Now I understand what happened.
Right. I mean, that's something that, and thank you to the person who put a comment that said, don't touch your face. You're right. I shouldn't. That's, I think, one aspect of this that I'm so grateful to have this conversation about is, you know, bringing a face to these people. I feel like the concept of othering, of seeming like making it seem like these are people that are different from us when really they are us.
Yeah.
That are, you know, have gone through a series of struggles that have landed them in that position.
Yeah.
And now when we can shine a light to it and bring the humanity to it, I'm just excited about what we can do. So what are the things that, and for anybody who's just tuning in, this is Shirley. We're talking about her organization, Beauty to the Streets, and what we can do for those without a home right now.
Yes.
So what are the ways that people, I know you're not accepting physical like volunteers right now.
Correct.
Okay. So what are the things that people can do at home? What are the ways that we can support?
You know, we have an Amazon wish list. If you want to go to our website, beautytothestreet.org, we have an Amazon wish list. We also have a P.O. box as well. And I think you and I talked about the clothing aspect as well. And clothing is really important right now. And I think a lot of people feel like giving the homeless secondhand clothing. A lot of comments I get is that insulting? Is that insulting? It's actually practical, because they don't have a place to wash their clothes. So they're going to wear them and wear them and wear them until they can't wear them anymore. So by you giving them your used clothing, that's not insulting at all. That's practical. When they get housing of their own, when they get some kind of structure, then we can look into getting them brand new things. But I think people can go to our Amazon wish list and donate clothing. You yourself, if you're local, if you know an area where there is populated by the homeless, I encourage people to take a bag, take a box, communicate with them and say, I'm going to sit this here. This is some clothing I had at home. Feel free to go through it and share it with your neighbors. You don't have to be there to pass out the things. You don't have to be there to oversee it. You know, just don't leave a box there. Communicate with them and let them know. These are some of the ways you can help the homeless without being involved in a nonprofit. You know, we also have, you know, I know everyone's struggling right now, but we do have our PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and Patreon. There's so many things that outside of helping a nonprofit that I feel like people can do. It's hot outside. If you go to the store, go to Costco, and you happen to get a case of water, grab a case of water for the homeless. Go out there and set it out there. I know a lot of people have fear factors of you know, is it safe out there? It's to me, the question is it safe in the grocery store? You know, so many people are concerned about Skid Row and the way the homeless community acts. But, you know, when this pandemic hit, I saw full-blown fights in Costco. These are housed working people. You know, desperate times bring out sometimes the worst in people. And the homeless aren't desperate like that. They're just without right now. They're just very sad right now. They're very, very sad. And they keep saying they feel forgotten. They feel forgotten. While everyone is washing their hands, while everyone's putting on face masks and gloves, they're like, what about us? We feel forgotten. You know, people stop coming to feed us. People stop bringing us clothes, you know, and unfortunately, you know, there's kids that live down there too, Brie. I mean, I know a teacher down there. I know a woman has a PhD down there. I mean, it's just something simple as losing a job or your husband leaving you or falling into depression. And a lot of us have gone through what some of the homeless went through that made them homeless. But thanks to God, our mistakes or our struggles or trials didn't lead to homelessness. You know, you might have did something stupid. You know, a lot of times people say, did the homeless do something to cause that? No, but let's just say they did. You might have done something too. How many people have not had a lot of money in the bank and go, I really want that pair of shoes. Okay, I'll figure it out next month. I'm going to get those shoes because I really want them. That's a careless mistake that could have made you homeless, but it didn't. You were able to compensate and get that money in to pay your rent. We all done things that, you know, may not have been the correct way, but no one deserves to be homeless. Nobody.
Yeah.
Not in a first world country like this, the richest country. No one deserves to be sleeping on the street.
No. And you know, as you were saying, as you're talking, like, because there are a lot of people that are strapped right now, and,
Yeah.
and asking for money is not the answer for everyone right
Yep.
now. But I will say, I know a lot of people in my own life personally that are using their spare time to clean out their closet.
Yep.
And there aren't places, a lot of places that you can donate to right now. I know that like Goodwill and places like that are completely stopped. So
Yes.
I would say it sounds like if you've gone through your closet, if you have some extra things, and you can freshly launder them and bring them to the address on your website.
Well, the address on my website is a P.O. box, but if
P.O.
people are local in the area, when we meet in LA every Saturday, all they have to do is send me a DM and we'll tell them exactly where we are, and we'll take the clothes out of their car and they'll go directly to the homeless at that very moment. So they can just bring them right to us and drop them off.
That would be amazing. And then,
Yeah.
so then with now that we're kind of getting into the conversation of like the donations and the practical aspect of helping, one of the things that I got so much out of from our conversation were sort of the simple do's and don'ts, or the myths around going to a place like Skid Row or visiting. So I think we started first with, I asked you about, you know, if you see a homeless person on the street and they ask for money, is it appropriate to give them money? Like, what are the ways that we can actively support this community in a way that's positive?
Correct. Well, see, I mean, and you know, so for me as a nonprofit going out there, being in the streets for 3 years, I always gave money to the homeless when I saw a homeless person. So let's say I was going into your local 7-Eleven or your grocery store and someone asked you for a couple of dollars. I don't see the harm in that. To me, there's no harm in that. I don't feel like your job is not to worry about what they do with that donation that you're making. Your job is your heart is just to give the donation. In Skid Row, I would say that's not practical for many, many reasons. People always want to send money. People want to send gift cards. If anyone sees me give $20 to the next homeless man, I immediately put his life at risk, because they now know he has $20 and someone's going to rob him for the $20. So I'm not doing him any justice by giving him money. If I give him a gift card and say, here's a gift card for McDonald's, here's a gift card for Starbucks, I'm just naming places. Go in this establishment and purchase something. The first thing we do is housed people, we look at the homeless people, the way they look, the way they smell, and nobody wants them in their establishment. Even if they have money in their pocket, even if they have a gift card in their pocket, they're not accepted and treated as human beings as they should. And so people are like, get out of here, get out of here. You know, you're bad for business, you're bad for business. So they don't get to spend the gift card that you gave them or the money, because no one wants them in those establishments. So you giving them money is kind of pointless when they really can't spend it. So I think just buying the items yourself for them, giving them the food that they need and buying it for them, I have no problem with that in Skid Row. I think that's practical. Like I said, in front of your grocery store, in front of a 7-Eleven, where it's just one guy over here, you're giving him a couple bucks, he's going inside, you're not putting him at risk at all. I think it's okay to do that.
Right. And there was another thing you talked to me about with physical donations, about like name brand items. So like donating a pair of Nikes, for example.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's like, you know, we had a little kid out there, and people he needed shoes, and a lot of people wanted to give me name brand shoes. We have Jordans, we have Mike, you know, we have Nikes, and it's like, you know, name brand thing. I mean, I grew up in the hood, and I'm older, a lot older than everybody else. So I remember when people used to rob people for their shoes that were on their feet, brand new shoes. So you got to think, when you give them name brand things, you put them at risk, because everything has value down there. It's kind of like, you know, the end of the world type of scenario. I always compare it to The Walking Dead, when, you know, stable-minded people were fighting over a can of beans because it was every man for themselves, and they wanted to live and they wanted to live. That's kind of what it is. It's the end of the world down there. So if you give them a pair of Nikes and someone sees value in that, then now you put that person at harm and at risk of being harmed and robbed. So I choose to give not name brand things. Like I said, used items. I don't even do costume jewelry, because people might see value in that. So I had to really learn as I was out there, because like, I would hear a lot of, oh, someone robbed me, Shirley. They took that. I'm like, well, why would they take that? And I started learning and educating, going, you know what? they thought it was value in that. So let me not give you things that look like they have value, because I don't want to get you hurt while you're living out here on the streets for a used pair of $50 Nikes. So I think it's best to stay away from the name brands and some of the fancy things you would want to give them. It's okay if they're housed, if you want to give them to the mission where people stay indoors, but outside on the street, I would say no.
Wow. Yeah. And then there was, what about general etiquette of, say I'm not going with an organization to Skid Row, but I'm going by myself. Is there like basic etiquette of how I should behave or interact when I'm down there?
Yeah, I think there is. I think you have to remember that you're going into their home. I don't care if it's four walls or door. This is where they sleep. This is where everything that they own of value is outside. This is their house. When we leave our house, we lock our door, right? When you get out your car, you lock your car. You want to protect your belongings, your assets. You're walking into their home. I think a lot of people think these are public streets, so I can just walk over here and I can just do what I want. It's their home. And one of the things we did when we first went down there, thanks to Fighters for the World, the MC club, the motorcycle club that comes with us, they had that mindset that I didn't have. They were like, Shirley, we need to ask to be on this block. I'm like, what do you mean ask? They're like, this is their house. This is their block. You know, so we started asking permission. Do you mind if we set up on the corner and feed right here? You know, and someone would say, no, as long as you guys pick up the trash, because a lot of people leave trash around here and they want their street, which is their house, clean as well. So we started asking permission. So when you go down there, it's not for photo op, you know, it's not to stick a camera in their face. It's not to think that you could just walk over to them. Like, it literally is their house and you have to knock. You wouldn't want someone to walk through your front door. And so, you know, we are like, hey, we're here, or, you know, knock, is anybody home? That's what I say from the outside of the tent. So we just have to remember that this is somebody. Unfortunately, the streets are someone's house, a lot of people's houses.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, we've got a couple more minutes and I am seeing some questions come up. So if you don't mind, I'll just throw.
No, go ahead.
One that I've seen a couple of times actually are people in England that are wondering if they can do donations, and if so, how that would be possible.
We do have PayPal. PayPal works for people in England. We do have PayPal. And again, if you go to our website, there is a address on the website. It's a P.O. box. If you feel comfortable mailing things, a lot of people want to mail things, that's fine. We try to make it whatever way you feel comfortable, how you want to give, how your heart wants to give. But if they want to give money, they can give it through PayPal. If they want to mail items specifically over to the homeless, they can use the P.O. box, or again, go on the Amazon wish list. I don't know if it works in England. That I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw another one of someone asking how to donate from Ireland. I believe it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. So other countries, if you have spare money to give. And then another question, which I realized I should have asked this from the beginning, but I've been seeing people ask, what is Skid Row? So I should have asked you that from the beginning. But
that's okay.
Yeah.
Skid Row is an area inside of LA County. So, you know, like, it's a little area populated in LA County that's populated by homeless people. So Skid Row has a lot of industrial buildings and big like corporate buildings, not so many like mom and pop shops. So it's a lot of places where they can set up tents and sleeping bags. So it's kind of like a tent city, and a lot of industrial buildings and things where they can just, you know, set up without traffic going in and out. So it's a little area inside of Los Angeles County, and they call it Skid Row. So it's where the majority of the homeless populate. And it's also where the missions are. It's also where any of the housing is going to be. So you're going to have more people down there. So since Skid Row has so many homeless people in one spot, a lot of nonprofits, a lot of churches tend to go to Skid Row, because instead of us driving all through the streets looking for the homeless to feed, we can just go to Skid Row, where we know there's 8,000 people at least, and we can set up on a corner, and we know they'll come to us because they're going to go to the mission. They're going to go over here where they can wash clothes. So we just kind of come to where they are and set up at that general spot.
And just so everyone's aware, thank you, Shirley, for that explanation. Just so everyone's aware, I am paying attention to the comments. So if you do have something that you would like to ask, I'm paying attention.
I wear glasses. I'm not, so I'm squinting. So, well, my eyelashes are too long for my glasses, so I'm just squinting.
Oh, someone asked about COVID in the homeless community. So I like, are they being tested? And if so, like, is there something that can be done around that? How would that affect the homeless community? Should someone contract that? Is there anything regarding the virus itself?
Yeah, they are being tested, thank God. Testing started, I believe, I want to say 2 weeks ago. I can give you numbers of 2 weeks ago. I'll find out the more accurate number tomorrow. but last I knew 750 were tested, and I believe there were 73 confirmed out of 750 tested. No, no one hospitalized and no life-threatening symptoms. So it is an outbreak down there. And one of the missions, a worker contracted it. He passed away, unfortunately, and they started testing that mission, and that's where the numbers are coming from. So unfortunately, that mission where that worker was and he passed away, that's where the numbers are all coming from. So they know where they're coming from. It's not randomly on the street. It's anyone that was in that mission or around people who were in that mission. So at least they've got kind of an isolation on it. And like I said, no hospitalizations as far as I know, no major symptoms. I do know that the city has set up some kind of camping site type of thing to where if you're diagnosed positive, they take you over there. They don't just leave you in Skid Row. You're not just left behind if you test positive. I know they're taking them out. They don't have to take them to the hospital because they don't have serious symptoms. And I know that the testing, a lot of people have asked too, well, how do you find the homeless people after that you test them? They're getting their results immediately. I'm not an expert on the test, so I don't know what that is. I've talked to the homeless who are getting tested, and the results are immediate. They're not waiting. So I don't know what kind of test they have for them, but that's a good idea, because if they were to test, they're not going to come back and find out the results. So They get immediate tests, and if they're positive, they're taken away.
Right. Thank you. So I'm getting a lot of questions of people asking about what they can do if they don't live in Los Angeles, or what they can do for their local communities. And I don't know if there's other organizations that you know of that you support or know about, but I would say if you don't, then research is going to be the best thing, and paying attention. I mean, one of the things that I've been really amazed by during this time has been just the level of community that has been built, and that I hope will be sustained outside of this. I'm noticing even people, even myself, having more conversation with the person who is delivering their mail, to just have the check-in and be like, are you okay? How are you doing? And when I went to the grocery store, what would normally be just the like, how you doing? I looked at the person in the eye and said, I'm good. Are you good? And they were like, thanks for asking. And it's just, I feel like we're getting outside of niceties and into something that's really vital. So one of the things that I love about you, the work that you're doing even before all of this, is that recognition of opening your eyes to what's happening in your backyard, what's happening in your community. So to anybody else out there who's wondering how they can help, whether it's this or something else that's happening in your community, just look around and see what it is that you can do. I mean, everybody has their specific superpower and the way they can bring this into this world. So I appreciate it.
I really like what you said, because I feel like the homeless have always struggled with this. We've always checked in. Are you doing okay? Are you doing okay? You know, and I hope that we keep this sense of humanity that's going on, or making sure our brother is okay. You know, like I said, this is not our first pandemic or epidemic we've had to deal with in Skid Row. We went through a typhus outbreak. We went through a chickenpox outbreak down there. There's been so many things and diseases that we have, as a nonprofit, Beauty to the Streets and Fighters for the World, have been there for the homeless. I think the reason people are opening their eyes now is because this pandemic doesn't care about if you're housed or unhoused. It doesn't care where you live. It doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care about your age. I think that it's now something that's affecting everybody, but we really should have opened our eyes a long time ago, Brie, and paid attention to a community that's been isolated. So many people are at home right now complaining because they're lonely, they're struggling to stay indoors. And I just don't think that people see the blessing that they have right now, because you have a house to stay indoors. There's so many people that would trade places with you in a heartbeat. They'd love to be on TikTok all day. You know, they'd love to put on an extra 5 or 10 pounds, because that means they have food in the house to eat. There's been a community that's been struggling for so very long. The homeless are used to people not coming within 6 to 10 feet of them, because they didn't want to. You see a homeless person and most people crosses the street. You don't think to go up to them and hug them and ask them how they're doing, you know? And so I think that what we're feeling now, remember the feeling that you're feeling now, because it will pass, but there's a whole community, 60,000 plus just in LA County alone, that will never get rid of this feeling. They've been living with this feeling for years, and we can help them. We can simply check in, like you said, the person does at the grocery store, and say, hey, how you doing? You're doing good. You can get in your car. You can go to any area in your community and say, hey, are you guys doing okay? Is there anything that you need? You some water? You want some socks? Like, is there anything I can do for you? Can't get you off the street, but I can give you something if you need it, you know? So we have to continue to check in and remember that when things go back to whatever our new normal is, there's a community that's still going to need us.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those that didn't hear before, we're talking about the homeless population in Los Angeles, but this is obviously a global issue.
Yes.
And if you want to help, Beauty to the Streets is the place to go. And there's an Amazon wish list there where you can, there's a wide variety of things at different price points. So you don't have to worry about spending a ton of money in order to do your part. If you're feeling the call and that you have extra money or resources to give. Just to like wrap it up, I'm curious with the work that you're doing, what are you doing for yourself? Like, is there something self-care wise that you are doing to restore yourself at this time?
Before I answer that really quickly, I just want to assure people that we are a 501c3. Because I think that makes a lot of people feel more comfortable. We do have a lawyer and accountant and all those things. So we are a 501c3. We've been so for a year and a half now. You know what, Brie, like I told you before, the reason I started my nonprofit was because I buried one of my kids. And, you know, the loss of a child, I've not been okay mentally for a very long time. I swallow 20 milligrams of Prozac a day, and Dawn from my team calls me every day to make sure I don't forget to take my Prozac. I'm used to not being okay. And one of the things that I found that made me okay was focusing on other people to make sure they're okay. So though I'm scared right now, though every time I get a cough or a tickle in my throat, I'm taking my temperature 5-10 times a day, completely paranoid because I'm not able to self-isolate like most people are because I'm still going out to my community. Seeing them and being around them is my healing. It just has been since I started my nonprofit. It's the reason that it's one of the things that gives me hope every day and makes me wake up and go, you know what? Even though my life is not what I wanted it to be, at least I have something to give right now. So the way I don't know, people don't understand it, but the way I'm getting through this is by taking care of my community and still being there for them. You know, it's teaching me a lot about myself. It's showing me the character that I have inside. There's been a lot of times where I haven't stood up for people like I should have. I always said I would. I wanted to, but I'm human and I didn't. Now, you know, at 52, here's another opportunity. Am I going to do it? And I'm actually doing it. I'm like, you know what? You're actually doing what you said you're going to do, Shirley. You're standing up for people. So it's showing me inside the growth that I have. And I absolutely am in love with my community. I am in love with them. And I mean, I wouldn't leave them. You're not going to leave your husband if you're in love with him. You know, you're not going to leave your community. So that's what I do to take care of myself, is by taking care of them. And life makes sure I'm okay. Life, God, universe, call it what you will. It makes sure I'm okay. You know, as okay as I can be. You know.
Amazing. You're amazing.
I try. Girl, I shall try. It's hard. It's so hard, girl. It's so hard.
But I want to say, like, as I started this video, I don't know what happened, but this morning I woke up and I just felt like an antsiness inside of just just didn't feel right. And this conversation has helped me so much. I hope that other people who have listened to it feel the same way, to remind ourselves that we can take that. Because really, what is that antsiness that I'm feeling? It's energy. It's energy that I can use towards something. And so this is just another way that I can put my energies towards something that's for good. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. I think this is amazing. Like, you know, people like you that have a large platform like this and to use it for the greater good. Like you said, everyone can't come out their pocket financially with money. And I don't even know if that's always the answer. But platforms like this, you know, helping people have a sense of awareness, helping little nonprofits like mine, people understand what we do in our community. This is big. This is a big deal. This is you doing a lot from behind your four walls and a door. And a lot more people should do it. And I hope a lot more, not even with just my nonprofit, with anybody that's out there taking care of our community. I think it's people like you who have the following to open the eyes to other people and allow people like me to have a platform to talk about it. So I really appreciate you. And I know you're answering aside, but I've been grateful since your team contacted me. I'm like, okay, now, you know, we get to talk about it a little more. People get to listen. So you're doing your part. We're all soldiers in this war, and we all have different roles to play. And you're absolutely doing your part.
Thanks, Shirley.
Don't cry, girl. I got eyelashes.
I appreciate it. I really look forward to doing something in real life with you sometime, and
I look forward to it
we'll
too.
be in touch. We'll keep checking in and making sure that we got our heads on straight and we just keep moving forward. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And any information I can give you that you can pass on to other people that can educate and enlighten them about our community, and if we all work together, hopefully one day we won't be having this talk about anybody being homeless.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Not just here, not just in LA. I'm concerned about homeless all over. I just want people to know in every country, all around the world, I am concerned about your homeless as well. I feel like if we solve it here, we solve it for all. You know, if they find a cure for cancer in Ireland, it's going to spread over here. You know, if they find a cure for this over here, it's going to spread over here. If we can find a cure for homelessness or help in our community, it's going to spread to everyone else, and we can share that information. So by us taking care of our community, believe me, we are trying our best to take care of yours as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in, who listened,
thank
who
y'all.
shared their thoughts and comments. We appreciate you.
Thank y'all, Cordell and my people. I see some of my followers on there. Thank you, Cordell and Venus and all you guys. I have all my little followers. I have my little gang on there. Thank you so much.
Give all your shout outs that you
all my little followers,
team.
Cordell and Venus and all my little gang. I'm sure Nicole is on here. All my little gang followers who I love so much. That's Cordell. And Russell. Those are my faithful followers, girl. Those are my faithful followers. They're amazing. It's amazing to have faithful followers who care about your community. They're amazing people. I love them.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Brie.
We'll just keep this conversation going. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Everyone else out there, thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Stay safe. And
bye.
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 Bye. Thank you all so much for coming. Do you like how I just am doing beginnings and wrap-ups now? I'm learning how to do this. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you for your questions, your thoughtfulness, and your attention. Taking the time out of your day to pay attention to issues like this. I know it's not always the most fun thing, but it's important because these are human beings and we have so much that we can do, so much love to give, so many ways that we can share each other's stories, uplift one another. So let's do it. Love to you all. Stay safe, stay home. Okay, bye.